Director Stewart. I have a second. Second, Director Washington. All in favor say aye. Aye.
At the time, Mr. President?
Most carries. The time is 6:11. There is no report of action at this time. Opening of the regular meeting. Time for public comment.
I would like to say, let the record show that Director Webb is here now. He wasn't here during the roll call.
Okay.
Just for closed session.
Again, anyone out there that wants to make a public comment at this time? Okay, voluntary roll call, telecom. Let us know if you want to be identified.
Hi, members of the board and Byron. This is John Joyce reporting for the Roseman News Online.
Thank you, John. Are you responsible for the snow and all of the rain?
Yes, I'll take credit for all of it.
Take credit.
Say much more coming.
Yes. We need to be very thankful for the change in the precipitation in California.
Yep.
Do I have a motion for the consent agenda CC1 check voucher? Motion, Director Stewart. Second. Director Webb. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. CC1. I have a motion for minutes M1 and M2 from February 22nd, both finance and regular board meeting. Motion approved. Motion, Director Webb. Second.
I'll second it.
Second, Director Wallace. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. New business number 1, consent tax on the sale of tax default property. We're going to have a what do they call it when you sell everything?
Yeah. Fire sale.
Fire sale. We're going to have a fire sale. We're going to have a snow sale. All right. Yes, go ahead, General Manager.
Thank you, Mr. President. So this is an annual practice where the county treasurer tax collector asks for consent to place the tax defaulted properties on sale. We consulted with our foreclosure attorney just to verify that that this is normal practice and that we have no objection. And he said this is normal practice, we have no objection. So the recommendation is to approve the consent and allow Sherry to sign it.
Any directors have any questions about the, not a fire sale, default property sale? All right, can I have a motion for CC1?
So moved.
Director Stewart, I have a second.
A second.
Director Wallace, Washington. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. CC1 is approved. NB1 is approved. Sorry about that. Presentation, water reclamation plant project update. Drum roll.
Good evening, everyone. How is everybody?
Good.
So I'd like to start off tonight with the construction update. In the last 2 weeks, the Pacific Hydrotech has had employees on site repairing leaks that were found during the first operation of utility water pumps. They worked on approximately 4 leaks and repaired them all. They also went around the facility and placed utility water racks and hoses where appropriate around the site to help wash down clarifiers, sludge beds, aeration basins, things of that nature. Also, a gentleman named Carl
choose to be able to run our blowers in the auto function to maintain a DO of less than 2.0, but hover between 1 and 2. Up until this point, and even at this point, we are unable to operate in that fashion. The DO is continuously monitored by the staff out at the facility, and the blowers are sped up and ramped down where needed to try to hold and maintain a certain DO and achieve the level of treatment that is desired out of the plant. They were able to straighten out some flow control issues. There's many variables that come into operating the blower system in manual, and they were able to resolve a large majority of those issues. However, they did find another faulty piece of equipment, an actual LDO probe that has faulted for whatever reason. It is under warranty, and they are currently waiting for that part to be sent back out. Unfortunately, for Parkson, the gentleman that was local to our area has retired, so the gentleman that has stepped in to take his place is from Arizona, which does mean a plane flight in and out, back and forth. Once the new LDO probe arrives, they'll bring the gentleman back out on site, and hopefully will finish and complete his task to where we are able to run the blowers in the auto function. What is LDO probe? What is that?
LDO probe is nothing more than a fancy way. It's a probe that is installed in the basement. It reads DO, ORP, temperature, EC. It's nothing more than a dissolved oxygen probe. It reads dissolved oxygen levels that are in the water. So that piece was faulty. They're waiting on a new one. And that's what has been completed as far as plant construction last week. The standby blower, we have 2 of them. As you guys are aware, one has malfunctioned again. It was delivered to Rcsd the first week of February. However, it never arrived. We did find the unit. It was delivered to Pacific Hydrotech's main office down in the San Fernando Valley. They are currently getting it transported back up here. At that point, the artisan rep, Tony, will be back on site to replace the parts to the blower and get the second standby blower online.
Is it under warranty?
It is under warranty. With the delayed construction of the project, there are a handful of items that the warranty
Expired.
is starting to get to the point where it will expire. However, Mr. Domingo and myself are working with Kennedy Jeans from the manufacturers to extend the warranty procedures on those items, as it's no fault to Rcsd that the construction is delayed like it has, and therefore we should not incur the cost of an item falling out of warranty.
Can I just, for example, the crane, we have a malfunctioning crane, we had to pull the contract on them, show them that they need to fix it.
Yeah. The crane is down. We're currently waiting for repairs to be made, and we're handling it in other fashions to pull the trash and those things of nature. And it's all being handled. An update on the generator. The generator is being worked on to make it perform to its optimization. I don't know if that's the right word, but it is being worked on. The plan has been put in place, and further down the road, I'm sure you'll see something from Mr. Domingo, and so we're advancing in that route on the generator. All in all, the plant construction is coming down to a close. There are some very key elements that still have to be resolved. However, as of 6 months ago, I can tell you there was 15 things that had to be resolved. At this point in time, there's two or three major items that need to be resolved.
Yeah.
Moving on to the staff update. The past 2-3 weeks have been filled with a lot of weather. I hope everybody
really enjoyed it. Due to that, we had a handful of individuals that were unable to make it to work due to being snowed in and that kind of stuff, and it was not safe for them to drive from the areas they were coming from. Despite that, Rcsd staff was able to keep things rolling downhill. All right. So we, along with help from the water staff, we were able to repair a sludge drying bed that has long been out of service. It's been out of service ever since I started at the wastewater plant 10 or 12 years ago. It was never utilized, and I was just told never to use it, and we cambered it, and we found out why you couldn't use it, and we made the necessary repairs and placed that item back in service. It was quite a lengthy process. You were 13 foot down in the ground and repairing things. However, it was a cheap fix. I'd like to report that the cost proposal, just as added extra for you, was around $30,000, and minus the Rcsd staff's time and diesel, if you will, to run the backhoe, it costs us roughly $27 a day. Now, the way I say minus time is because you were paying the employees to be at work, whether they were working on that or doing something else, right? So that was something. Due to the rain, we had many vaults. Many of our vaults are ground level, and due to that, they filled with water. The issues that arose from that is it would run down the conduit and cause issues in the electrical panels, cause issues further down the line. For the last 2 weeks, the staff has, number one, been pumping those out. Number two, they've been taking the necessary precautions to mitigate that from happening in the future. Now, the plans that we put in place are temporary plans. They're not long-term solutions. The long-term solutions will either be regrading structure of the property, which
That's a major job.
is a major job, or we're looking into ways to raise each fall. I believe that would be a cheaper option. However, the long-term answer is not something that doesn't come with cost, and it has to be planned. So we took the temporary precautions to help with that. We also cleaned culverts and everything throughout the property to help when we do get rain that the water flows to a desired area and not just to everywhere on the facility. Despite everything mentioned above, the staff still kept up with process control samples and everything to run the facility as well as you can. We also took samples for the state and sent off to the lab this week as well. Last week, I should say. And we had a very exciting guest. We had a young lady named Patty that came. Patty is a certified lab tech. She received her degree from Michigan State, and she heads one of the largest labs in Bakersfield in Lebanon. Patty came down as a part of the service that we paid for years ago from Top Check Environmental, and she came down and she basically observed myself, my staff, not only in her expertise of running the lab, but also as far as the effluent quality that our plant is putting out. Patty sent me a short email after. Now, she says nice things about me in here. The things in here about me that are nice are not important. To me, my staff doing a good job is what ultimately makes me good. So when she says your staff is well trained and they've done a good job, that is my staff doing a good job. Patty writes, Brian, I have the pleasure of serving you and your staff. I was very impressed with the way they conducted their sampling procedures, their level of precision, cleanliness, and their techniques are excellent. This is unusual because usually only this level of expertise can be gained from some sort of formal training or working in a lab environment. This shocked me because most of your operators have never attended any sort of formal training in lab. They all documented that their lab training was observed from you. Your staff is very well trained on sampling procedures as well as plant operation. I must say it was a pleasure working with you and them, and I wish all wastewater treatment plants were on the same level as your staff. Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure once again. Thank you.
Is she thinking about stealing someone from us?
Now, Patty did make some recommendations. Some recommendations are very minor, very minor. They make no role in anything, something come with a price tag. Our scale is 10 years old. You should get a new one. But Patty what I wanted to get at the end of the day was that. What are we doing wrong, or what are we doing that we need to be doing? And on that aspect, Patty couldn't make any recommendation.
Well, I'm going to make a recommendation to you. You need to give yourself credit because you do a hell of a job, Brian.
Well, I
Let me finish. Those folks saw you do it. You were doing it right. It's easy to do it that fast. You did it right. So I want to tell you, your enthusiasm is off the charts. And the fact that we had a third party that had no play in our game, saying that your people did good, and your people said we saw him do good, you deserve credit for that because that's called leadership. And I compliment you on that.
Well, thank you. So, as of tonight, that's all I have to present to you.
I have a question. You mentioned water getting in the vaults. Did it get in the conduit? Maybe it did get in the conduit?
It did as well get in conduit.
They're supposed to be sealed.
So we have looked into
That's
that.
a dangerous situation.
So we have looked into that, and you're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct.
Well, we had that happen at church, and it blew the breaker.
Oh yeah, and
Because the water connected them. If you got a nick in your wires or something, you're in trouble.
yes. We have water coming out of the electrical panels and everything else.
Oh, wow.
Solutions of what we did were, is we dug around each wall, trenched around each wall, covered it with heavy-duty heavy-duty plastic trash bags. Covered them all back up with dirt and compacted the dirt over the top.
Well, I have another question for you. Cal Portland, they had a 400 amp panel blow up, and that company come in, it's not OSHA, it's the other one. They shut them down for 3 weeks. And now what they're doing, they're putting the remote shut off outside.
To shut things down.
But Edison, if they turn off a panel, they have a face cover, they have clothes, everything. And them panels are dangerous turning off and on.
Absolutely. Depending on the amperage and voltage that's coming in is specified on the front of every panel, the appropriate PPE that should be worn at that time.
Oh, do you guys wear it?
Absolutely. Especially messing with electrical. Us, as far as the staff, we really don't do too much with electrical. I'll be honest with you. Scares me, to be frank, to be honest with you. So we do employ an outside contractor for any time we have electrical repairs. And yeah, we were able to get the situation resolved. Another thing we did is we spray foamed every single conduit to help prevent from that happening in the future, and we move forward and go from there.
I don't know the correct term, so I'm not going to say what we used to call the field, but there's a type of putty. Seal. That's a good way to call it. Why would you go there?
So there's a putty. We've all seen it in there. I just talked to my electrician. What we did is we took nothing more than paper towels, stuffed them in about 3 inches, and then we spray foam with expanding foam. It's one of them. The reason you put the paper in there is so that when you spray the spray foam, it doesn't go 2 feet in there, and then it gets out full of wires.
The main thing you want to make sure of, you don't want to turn that on with under load. You want to make sure everything's off.
So, fortunately, it didn't cause any damages. The bright side of it I saw was this. None of our wires had nicks or anything in it.
Well, good.
Good. We would have found out.
Yeah, you would have.
So, that's what we've been working on there in the last 2 weeks.
I have a suggestion, Kevin, you might already do this, getting a copy of that letter and putting it in the personnel files for the staff, so if they ever go for a promotion or something like that, they can include that. I think it's good for all.
Besides that, that's all I have, unless there's anything further.
Any questions?
we're making it work.
All right. Director's reports, comments, future agenda items. I'll start with Director Washington.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. Just a quick reminder to the public to continue to be water wise and find innovative ways of saving on your water bill. Transitioning to a $119 low flush toilet can save substantially. Standard toilets require up to 7 gallons of flush. Low flush toilets require a little over a gallon of flush. So if your toilet flushes 10 times a day, that's 60 gallons a day, 420 gallons a week, 1,700 gallons a month, and over 20,000 gallons a year. So again, I encourage you to be water wise, try to save money where you can. You can find these $119 low flush toilets over at Carl's Hardware locally. That's about all I have.
Thank you, sir. Director Wallace.
You know, I was going to invite everybody to our RMAC meeting, but there's only 2 board members can go, right?
Yeah.
Our general manager is going to be speaking Thursday at 6 o'clock.
I guess others could go, but they just have to not
Talk to each other.
talk to each other.
Well, yeah. I'll leave it there.
All right.
Can more than 2 go?
Yeah.
Technically, it's another governmental meeting, so technically you can. But yeah, you need to be careful and have a discussion.
The transparency of
Yeah.
would not be a good idea.
Director Stewart.
I don't have anything tonight. Just want to say thanks to staff for doing the hard work. I went around in the rain event. I did not see really any inflow into sewer lines or anything like that. And nobody stopped me at the grocery store in the last month to talk to me about board stuff. So we got to be doing something right.
Thank you, sir. Director Webb.
Thank you, sir. I hope that if we get another weather event, we take all the car keys from the people. We can't drive out there. I've seen some of the most unique driving. You cannot go 80 miles an hour, hit your brakes, you think you're going to stop. Anyway, with that said, I think the weather made us look at something different. We kept talking about COVID and earthquakes, COVID, and now you have the snow, and those people up in San Bernardino, I hope they get better. I don't think we could ever imagine us being snowed in, but I think we're constantly shifting to think and do things. So I encourage everybody, folks, keep working on plans. Don't have a plan, get a plan. If you need help with a plan, there are people that can help you, because this is the new normal for us. Everything, we go fire season, you go from fire season to wind damage season, now to snow season, now it's earthquakes all the time, so prepare. And one last thing is that Monday, I spoke with the general manager about several things, and Kim, I want to thank you because your enthusiasm is not as much as Ryan has about the plan. But the things that you did to me, which I appreciate that from sharing support with you said, tell me what's important to you, referring to me, and I can truly appreciate that, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. The local state water contractor, AVAC, they're up to 35% of their allocation now, and they expect it to even go higher, especially with more storms coming. I talked to the fellow afterwards, and in 2006, they had 100% of their allocation, and they only used about 25% of it because there was no place to put it. There were no water banks at that time, and so 75% of the allocation never came. But now, whatever they get, they bank for future use. Also, at the business conference at the fairgrounds, here's what I came up with listening to supposedly an economics expert. California is in trouble. The worst place in California is Los Angeles County. Antelope Valley is much better off than Los Angeles County as far as employment and all those kind of things. And Kern County is much better off in Antelope Valley. So we're on the right side of the border, I think, as far as that's concerned. It was a very good, informative meeting, and I would say there were more business people there, and that's what it is a business conference, than elected people. It used to be more of a balance between business and different elected people who were elected in different bodies. But now it's pretty much business people, and we're going to stay pretty steady, no major ups or downs as far as they're concerned for the next year and a half. I don't know if that's good news or bad news, but I enjoyed the conference. General manager update. General counsel update.
Nothing from council tonight.
Thank you, John. And general manager update.
I just have a few things to report on tonight. Just an update on the Diamond Street property. I've received a hazmat testing proposal, so I'm working on the alternatives for you guys to consider as far as repair versus demolish. Either way, you need a hazmat report. So I'm moving forward on that one. On the 20th Street property, I actually was contacted about a potential lease opportunity. So as soon as that kind of fleshes out, I'll bring that to the board. But someone did reach out, interested in basically leasing for improvement, for example. As far as the Antelope Valley Resource Conservation District, we haven't reached out. You brought that up last meeting, Director Washington, and we haven't reached out on their offer of a presentation. I think you were talking about potentially them coming over here. So give us. We've been working. Sherry and I have been swamped and Sherry's probably going to report on this on her issue, but we've been swamped on trying to resolve something that's coming up. But that, I haven't forgotten about that, so we'll bring that back. And then on well number 9, just wanted to inform the board. So for about a year, the solar field has not been operating correctly, not producing feed, and I was made aware of it today. And so we're investigating what the issue is out there to try to get them back online.
Which is well 9.
Well 9.
That's our main one.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know exactly where it's at, but I know it's our highest quality one.
Because I've been to all of them. John took me.
16.
It's all 16.
Yeah. So I just want you to be aware of that. There was an issue with that, and actually, Director Webb, that may have contributed to some increased power issues that way.
Yeah,
that may, because if we are not buying their power, have that available to us, then obviously we're paying a much higher cost to Edison. So that may have contributed. So. And then Director Walsh, you stole my last item, which I'm going to be sorry. RMAC. That's okay. So looking forward to seeing a couple of you there. That's it. Thank you.
Any questions for the general manager?
Does anybody know if RMAC does virtual meetings where you can call in and listen in?
No.
They don't?
No. They haven't. Chamber don't have that. RMAC don't have it. Yeah, you can set up a camera. General manager, it's really a good thing they put that solar in because they're changing that now. It's not going to be 1 for 1 anymore. It's going to be 2 for 1, isn't it? Something like that.
Yeah, it's the incentives are certainly starting to whittle away because we're, honestly, because the grid is probably pretty close to maxed out on a lot of that.
Well, I've seen that on television. They said a lot of people. Well, that guy told us that was putting the deal in at Willow Springs. He said a lot of people can't get on the grid. They set it up and they can't get on the grid.
Yep, because they're at capacity, honestly.
And that's the reason they're doing that. They can't get on the grid.
What do you mean?
Where it's no longer it's 1 to 1 now. If you use a kilowatt, they make a kilowatt
they gave you credit for one, but they're going to change that. It's not going to get you credit for one anymore. It's going to be.
Will that be grandfathered?
It's going to be 2 to 1.
I thought it was the incentives were starting to go away as well. The incentives, because solar, in order for it to be marketable up front, there was a huge incentive, tax incentive, for example. And then as the years went by, the tax incentive started to shrink. And so there's always a scramble at the end of each calendar year to try to get new solar. The reason I know this is because I was doing the solar projects for the county.
Well, you
So
know,
I'm very familiar with kind of the marketing, but as far as the 1-to-1 versus 2-to-1, I have not heard that.
in Nevada, I don't know if you remember this, but they quit giving people rebates for what they generated, and all the solar companies pulled out of there, and they put that on the ballot. The people got together and put that on the ballot, and they overruled it.
As far as taking away the rebate,
Yeah,
I'm not talking about the incentive.
Yeah, they got it back.
Is this from like back when Schwarzenegger was office
Yep.
and the million home solar, more than a million houses in California by a certain date. So, as you're saying, as over the years go on, it goes down. It slowly trickles down to because the solar companies are making money.
It is running out of space.
Yeah.
To draw new customers.
That's pretty much what Ryan's saying
They
exactly.
can't get it on the grid.
So that's also why the hydro store, the guy who came and did I mean, you probably weren't here yet, but he did the demo where they take the power off the grid at non-peak times, store it, and they put it back on later during peak times.
Yes. So I've talked to 2 outlets, both doing it different ways, but basically the same concept, where you store that water up, you lift it out of the ground during the day, and then at night when there's demand, you put it back down and you back into the ground, and you let the turbine spin and recoup the energy that way.
That's what Whitefield was working on. Kevin, is that solar field on the base? Is that county? Somebody told me that was county.
On the base?
Yeah.
No, I don't believe so.
No.
No. I do know where the counties, they're large solar fields that are called the Rcsd system.
Well, they got that big one out there off the South Road.
The county, it might have been, and so the county only has one really, or a couple of really big, large solar sites that the county actually owns and benefits from, and those are at Lerville.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Director of Administration update.
Thank you, Mr. President. So the district has confirmed to resume late fees and shut-offs as of May 1st for discontinuation of delinquent accounts. So that will resume May 1st. We're working with District Council to ensure our notification methods are in compliance with SB 998. We may need to amend our disconnection of service policy. As it is now, the policy reads that we will notify folks by phone during the time period that we're required to no less than 7 business days before shut-off of service. And our policy states by phone. We cannot use our robo-call system for that.
Yeah.
So that would be a lot of phone calls for
Yeah.
staff to make. So we're looking at options and working with council to make sure we're compliant with the law.
Do they still do the doorknob thing and stuff on the
door hangers.
door hanging?
We have that, but we will keep you posted, but we're moving forward with it. And staff is being trained. We've got, just making sure that they're aware of how to establish a payment arrangement. Yes, sir.
Question. Does the state still have that when they were helping people with the utilities? I know it just before COVID and during COVID.
Yes.
They still have that program.
Federal funding came through the state and the council. So the Community Action Partnership through Kern is the one that administers those funds. And the Family Resource Center in Mojave is the local entity that our folks can contact. And it's a lot easier calling them than Bakersfield. There are funds still available, and this is the LEWA program that we're referring to, okay?
So can we maybe either put it on our site or let the folks know that there's funds that can help them?
Absolutely. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's limited first come, first served.
Yeah, absolutely.
The program's supposed to end August 31st. So we're on it, yes.
So, okay, so maybe we can say, you know, we understand this, but maybe check with those folks. Because
We're working with the Access to get out email blast, to get out a robocall message ahead of time. Just like we wanted a little extra time.
okay, so I have a question for you. If we talk with John Joyce over at the news, maybe put a little blurb in there, because I know that goes everywhere. We just tell more people to go after it. But I'd rather people get the money and, you know, help with the utilities. So maybe you guys could maybe contact John Joyce about putting something in the paper.
We can sure do that.
Folks or whatever, because a lot of people may not be listening to the meetings, or a lot of folks, we keep find out they're not as, you know, technology advanced. We want them to be, but they read John's paper.
Yeah. And one thing about this program is it takes upwards of 60 days once the person applies,
Okay.
and then it's going to take another 90 days for the district to get funds. So it takes a little while. In the meantime, we can have a payment arrangement made, because we can't, because we wouldn't have any verification that they've actually applied.
Gotcha.
So the people that wish to apply need to do so now. So the front office has the information. People are calling, if they're talking to people that they see are delinquent. If you qualify, it's based on income.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so welcome.
Any questions for the Director of Administration? All right. Public Works update. John.
Mr. President, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were there, John.
I was going to say, I apologize. I was out of the office today and didn't get a report together, so no one.
Right. I actually have it here, John.
Okay.
You want me to read it for you?
Sure.
Yeah, Larry provided it to me, so appreciate you being on the call. So on the water side, we repaired 10 leaks, 2 sinkholes. We have been working with developers to inspect the infrastructure to make sure they're installing to our standards for the new pipeline. And Ryan mentioned a repair of the sludge basin, and the water folks assisted on that repair. On the sewer side, approximately 7,400 feet of sewer line was cleaned, as well as a partial blockage on the Murray line that was also cleaned. They've had 8 manhole inspections and no sewer overflows. And I might mention, as part of the sewer committee meeting, we have a list of items that that was requested to be informed, the board be informed of, as it relates to sewer maintenance and perhaps water items. And so we're working on that, the format of that report. So we're going to provide you a draft of that so you can see what's covered, so that you can have comment on something you may want to see added or not. So that's also coming.
Any questions?
Yeah, I kind of like what I heard at the sewer committee meeting in terms of the work that Fisher Compliance is doing. Sounds like they will be able to provide training, standardization, and maybe we can look in the future at something that I was involved in years ago, establishing policy and procedure whenever we operate equipment or starting a unit or whatever it may be. There's a policy and procedure in place.
John, you want to speak to that? Because that was one of the suggestions, was it not?
Yes, it was. So they are currently creating, I don't know if you say policies, but operating procedures for every piece of equipment that we use in our sewer system. So that's coming. I had a couple of emails last week with the gentleman, and provide him with some information on the back truck and the pumps that we have. So that is forthcoming. The standard operating procedures for all of the equipment and tools that we use on the sewer cleaning.
Is there any more information on the board training?
On which, the mower training?
Board, I'm sorry.
Oh, the board training. Yeah, I'm sorry, I should report on that. You're going to be scheduled for the closed session of the first meeting in April, I believe it's.
Okay.
12th, yes.
Closed session?
Yes.
Yeah. Any other comments for the good of the cause before we adjourn? I hear a motion to adjourn. So moved. Motion by Stewart, Director Stewart, second.
Second.
Director Washington, second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Mr.
Opposed?
President, the time?
We are adjourned at 6:51.
What would you do if 3 voted not to go home?
You guys can continue on without me.